we are live. We are. It's
I
not
think you're
the
right.
new way of getting live on LinkedIn yet. I have made sure I'm going to go through that before it's time, Yvonne.
Listen, you do a great job. You handle this every week, so yeah, I'm certainly not going to be complaining because you've been doing all of the tech. So thank you. Always blessed.
How are things?
Yeah, all is well. It's raining here, I have to say. So after that beautiful heat wave that we got knocked sideways with last week, because it was like, whoa, where did that come from? Now we're contending with the rain. But this is the United Kingdom, so kind of expected. Comes with the territory.
Absolutely. I
What
mean,
about there, where
yeah,
you are?
swimming time, 100%. But
Beautiful.
the thing is that we always, or I always say, the weather is in your heart. Leave everything that is outside, out of our control, to sit where they are. I think it
Yeah,
has been all the training that I had in the UK for years and years and years.
yeah. I just don't. It's just like I wake up and it is what it is because that's one thing that I can do nothing about. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
and don't let it spoil the day and don't let it change what I need to do. And it's just there.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, we always say to our clients, don't control what you can control. Everything else, let it be. It has to be done the way it is, and it's going to be taken care of by itself at some point. So, what are we talking about
Absolutely.
today?
So what are we talking about today? So first of all, welcome. We always start with our own little chats. I know we kind of feel like we're all very self-involved here, but it's not that. We're in two different countries, so we just had to like to have a little catch up. But here we are. We are here as Permission to Thrive, and we're really looking at the stories, the narratives that show up for most of us on a daily or weekly basis, and they impact the way that we approach life, how we live life, and how we feel about life. And they are often those narratives and those patterns that were, I want to say, engineered from childhood. Most of these things happened very young and have been running on autopilot. And really, what this is all about, the myth busting, is taking time to look at some of those phrases, some of the phrases that come up often, and really looking at them with a sense of awareness. So we're not analyzing, we're just looking at them with a sense of awareness and sharing how and if they've come up for us or where we see it with our clients. And really how to perhaps look at those things with a different lens and encouraging you, if you are watching and listening, to post some comments underneath the video. What's your experience been? Where have you seen it? What do you do differently now, if at all? Is just being aware helping you without you doing anything else. Because quite often, certainly I know for me, some of this has been the awareness alone has allowed me to go, okay, okay.
Yeah, and of course, let's say that it is awareness and definitely not judgment. We all have had experience with some or even all of those phrases in one way or another. But if we take them and we are aware of them and we listen to how the talk happens in our heads without judging, I think it's much easier to overcome them or utilize them in a different way that is more serving, right? So today's topic is like the receiving block. And personally, I have a lot to say about this, Yvonne. And the first phrase is I don't want to be a burden. How does this sit with you?
I was kind of reflecting on this earlier, just thinking about, how has this come up for me? I think the receiving block has definitely shown up. Has this particular wording, I don't want to be a burden. Yeah, it probably has. And even again, even though I may not have chosen those words, the same sense behind them is like, oh, no, don't. I don't, I don't want to, I don't want it to be a hassle. I don't want to put you out. Same thing, right? I don't want to put you out. And this is all about our willingness or unwillingness to receive help and to receive support. And it's kind of crazy because I think as I posted on Tuesday, when you see a friend in need, of course you're there. It's like, how can I help? What can I do? You offer it, and at the same time, when it comes back, you almost like repel it, like, no, I've got this, I've got this. I'll be fine. I'll sort it out. And allowing the urgency and the pressure of life, which we were talking about a little while ago, to take a hold when actually somebody has offered to step up, step in, support you in whatever way they can.
Absolutely.
So it's a little bit, it's a strange one. So yeah, for me, definitely not really so much now, but as I look back and I think about situations, definitely, yeah.
Well, yeah, um, my take on this is like, as you said, this particular phrase doesn't necessarily, um, has shown up in my life, but um, I have definitely had the same impact or the same voice saying something different. And what that was from me as a strong controller, it had to do with not showing up as weak. And
Mm,
it's very similar to this. We don't see it like this, not like, oh, I don't want to be a burden, but I don't want to show that I cannot manage or think that I cannot manage. So in a way, as you said very nicely, you put more pressure on yourself because yeah, I know I don't want any help, thank you very much. And you're also, like, I have found in my life that it I wouldn't say that I was aggressive towards, the person that would be offering to help, but I would think, do they see that I cannot manage? Why are they
mm,
offering help? So it's sort of like the scenario becomes really like eating you from the inside, something, because you start having a different type of dialogue in your head, and that creates a definite barrier saying absolutely not, I'm not getting help, I'm not asking for help. um, or it becomes like one of those things that you feel like really bitter because, oh, can't they see that they can take this thing off me, but now they're not. So
mm,
but not like asking to help me. I don't, it's like a big dialogue. I think I've had that in my head for many years, so it's like I can see. It wasn't this particular thing because this is more like the echo that this has, like more of a pleaser or a victim type of thing, but like I'm more seeing it from the controller perspective.
yes.
um, and that's why. So I think that the weakness is where I saw it the most.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's so interesting because as you were speaking and you were saying about it, for me, it's like weakness. And that if somebody then offered, it's like, well, what are they seeing? What is it how are they judging me? What are they perceiving?
Absolutely.
And then you get resentful because, well, how dare they? And, almost, right? There's some of that goes on. And interestingly, as you were saying it, I was thinking, so really, this is about which of the saboteurs is driving? Because yes, the pleader and the victim is the one that, I don't want to be a burden, really it's almost like I'm going to stop you from doing the things that you need to do, and that's not right, and that's not fair, and that. Whereas what you're talking about is like for me, high achievers, the controller, uh, the
Yeah.
those who like, I need to get this done. This is what I do. This is how I do it, and I can do X, Y, Z, and I can do it. And here's the thing is, yes, you probably can because you've wired yourself to do it. So all those years of doing it has meant that you have wired yourself. Does that make it the right thing to do? Does that make it the best thing to do? Is that really helpful? Or perhaps things to consider? Because if you continue doing it that way from that energy, like I've got this, I can do it, I don't need anybody else. There are two things for me. One, what is that doing to you internally? What's that doing to your internal system in terms of cortisol, nervous system, like on a complete burnout journey or getting ready to? And also, the other part for me is, well, how are you making the people around you feel? Like, I'm here to support you, and you are, and it's not about the rejection of that. It's just that I'm here to support you. So there's something about not allowing other people to pour in what they are absolutely able to. And you know, it does make me, as I go back and I think about scenarios where people had asked to help me, I'm like thinking, what in goodness name has made you think it was a good idea to say no to that? Because now I'll do everything to preserve my energy. Hey, you want to help me? Fantastic. Come on in.
Go for it. Yeah, absolutely. But this is it, you see, and you said it very well. It's like conserving your own energy for what purpose as well, and how many more things can you do if you allow for that collaboration? Because
Yes.
we are so wired. I don't know what it is to just put our heads down and do it. But the truth is that if we have like, and we say it, isn't it, like one brain, I mean, two brains better than one, and so on and so forth. Why wouldn't we allow it? And it's only now, and I think that it also, like, maturity helps in a way, that the and the work that we are doing, but that I can see that, okay, yeah, it is all right for like to accept the help. That doesn't mean that it diminishes anything of the things that I can offer to whatever that thing is. And it has to do with confidence as well, doesn't it? It's like, I can see it like introspection now here. Full disclosure to everyone that is listening, but yeah, it has to do with confidence, because like the more you allow the collaboration to take shape and things, means that people are going to come closer and see closer what it is that you're doing, and how you are acting, or what is happening in your world, right? So
Yeah.
if you feel a little bit unsafe about that, then it's more likely that you're going to push people away, and that is going to be to your own detriment. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you were talking about that weakness, and I think this definitely plays a massive part, is that I don't want to be perceived as weak.
Mm,
Therefore, I must show all signs of being strong. Therefore, I must be able to handle every single thing. That is like my goal, my ambition, my drive. I'm going to make sure that I can do that. And if you're a high performer, you pretty much are probably doing that a lot of the time.
yep.
And we know that this is not sustainable. Is it doable? Absolutely. It's doable until it's not. So it's doable until literally your body says, do you know what? I'm done. I need some time out. And if you're not going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. So it's all, for me, there's always that part of this way that I am being by rejecting help consistently. How is that going to show up? How am I going to end up feeling, depleted, exhausted? And then I have to continue doing all these things because I said that I could whilst I'm depleted and exhausted. And now nobody's offering to help because I told them I can do it all anyway. Now I'm
Yep.
really depleted and exhausted, and no one's even offering to help now. So we have to ask us, what are we setting ourselves up for? What are we setting ourselves up for? And where where is this beautifulness of humanity when it's reciprocal? Of course, I pour into you, you pour into somebody else pours back into me. That's our humanity, that's our connectedness. Where did we become so dysfunctional that that seemed or looked like a really kind of bad thing to do?
Oh yeah, but this is why community is coming back so strongly,
Yeah.
because people are disconnected. People are, I mean, they are taking like themselves out of the wholeness, and they think that they don't need that, but then eventually they realize, and then they come back into community to try to understand and make sense of the world around them. And
Yeah.
it is a shame that you have to get to that state of like absolute, I don't know, burnout, or like really bottom, how do you call it, the rock bottom or whatever, and
Mm,
then realize what can help you. But immaterial, we are not here to make judgment, and like definitely we don't judge ourselves. We've all somehow somewhere felt that this was the right thing to do for whatever reason. I mean, I know where mine comes from, but I'm sure every single person has their own stories, and
absolutely.
how they create this type of environment. But as you say, it sort of becomes, like we always say, that a self-fulfilled prophecy, because and then it creates even more scenarios in your,
Mm,
because like as you said, and as we said earlier, like when you're pushing people away, because you can do it, when the time comes that really you need to hear somebody. First of all, you need somebody to volunteer, because you won't ask for help at that stage, and people cannot really volunteer when they have asked like 10 times, and 10 times they got a rejection. And that is the bottom line, right?
yeah. Yeah, it's almost like that kind of like the ball that's rolling and it just keeps on picking up and picking up. I said no, they don't ask anymore. Now I feel resentful. Why aren't they asking? Can they not see how much turmoil I'm in? All of that kind of stuff starts to come up. And I think this really feeds into the next phrase, which is I'll manage,
Oh,
you
absolutely.
know, because this is definitely more the language of the controller driver, the hyperachiever, where I've got this. I've got this. I'll do every part of this. Now, oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm gonna have to leave you to talk. My door's
Ah,
just knocking.
okay, I'll talking on my own here. Never mind. This is the good thing about having things live, or bad thing. At least you know that we are here and we are doing everything live. And it is part of
You could sit here all day waiting for something, and you can guarantee the 1 minute you're in
absolutely.
the middle of a conversation, that door is gonna
That's okay.
knock.
I like talking to myself. It comes with old age.
Goodness. So I can't remember where I was talking about unmanaged, the controller, the hyperachiever. Um, where did I get up to? So I think ultimately where I wanted to go with that is that self-reliance. And again, this feeds into the strength thing. I've got to demonstrate, and there is a little bit of I have to demonstrate, and there's a little bit of I want to demonstrate perhaps as well, that I've got this. I can cross the T's, I can dot the I's, I'm in full control. And I think I was saying, like, so for me, the control is not one that's ever really shown up massively for me, but the hyperachiever has. And, if you're a hyperachiever, now, and I always like to say this really clearly, achieving is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful, brilliant thing. When it becomes hyperachiever, it's an extreme.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that when we go into hyper mode, hyper vigilant, the hyper is the part that's saying we've taken it to another level. And that is probably not going to work well for us. in the long run. So again, coming back to sustainability. So the hyperachiever, again, and I have definitely seen this in some of my clients who have big roles where they're managing teams, is that there's a little bit of, instead of allowing the team to take control of the parts they're meant to, there's some micromanaging going on. There's, oh, they're not doing it the way that I need it to be done, therefore I need to do it, and taking all of that back, like I'll just manage it. And then, but also then let's say at the end of a project, saying, gosh, what's the point of having a team if they won't do anything? Well, you've just yanked everything away from them. What do you expect them to do? Instead of, and this thing about it takes too long to take time. Well, I think taking the time is what you do to help them become proficient and effective in the roles that they have. That is your role. And then you can let them get on and you can focus on the thing that you need to. Um, Whereas trying to manage everything yourself, not only is it overburdening in terms of what's on your plate, and for me, more importantly, what is it doing in here? How can you regulate your nervous system if you're just piling stuff on 24/7 and you think that you're managing? My question would, but really, are you managing? Because if you're not sleeping at night, if you're if you can't sit down for 2 minutes to have a meal, or better still 15 minutes to have a meal, or whatever that looks like, if you're having to have 2 glasses of wine because that's the only thing that makes you feel like you're going to relax or whatever, that's not managing. And that's not a judgment. That is a statement. Like that is not a judgment. And these are the things we need to be looking at and just saying, well, I don't get to sleep well at night. What is coming up for me? And be reflective about it. So this isn't, again, not judgment. Be reflective about it. Where am I overloading? Where am I saying that I can manage when actually I really do need support? I really do need help. And there is no weakness attached to that.
No, for sure. I mean, for me, this phrase "I'll manage" also, I think has like is a continuation of the previous thing that I was discussing, and it has that little thing of resentment as well. Yeah, right.
Mm.
Okay, I'll manage, and then you walk away with that, not knowing how you're going to manage. Now you have committed to manage, and of course, what do? You deplete yourself. You make sure that the I mean, everybody else sees how fantastic work you do, but inside, as you say very well, you are working against your own body. And this can only work for a very short period of time. It's not viable, and it shouldn't really be viable because we're not meant to just manage. We need to have like systems in place. We need to have, as you said, if it is like professionally, there are reasons why there are teams, and the managers have to manage the team, not manage the project, like all and every aspect of the project, which is exactly what you mentioned there. And I think respecting yourself, your needs, is like where you need to start from to understand. I had a discussion with a client the other day, and it's like, she was saying that it has taken her like a good 5 years to understand how much she can give and how much she needs to constrain, is that correct? No, constrain, to retain, so she can do her work properly. And we're talking about work that has to do with other people, and that has to do with care, and that has to do with all these things, which means that you're not taking away from how much you want to care for someone by like managing what you need to. So
Absolutely. And receiving is a gift. I mean, that we could see it as anything else, it kind of blows my mind. And, and I can say that for myself. It's just like, when did you ever think that receiving was not a great thing? How is that not a great thing? When somebody offers to step in to support you, when somebody says, look, whether they can see all the things you're doing or not, whether it's through a visible thing or whether they're just simply saying, I can help you with this because maybe they've got the time and maybe they've got the energy. Fantastic.
absolutely.
Let's celebrate that. Let's be really thankful. We talk about gratitude. Well, here's a moment of gratitude is that, wow, how wonderful. Because guess what? In your lifetime, you will get to double down and do the same, time and time again. So when it comes your way, this is me, it's like, just be open. Now, I mean, for me, I'm saying I love this because now when people say to me, "Oh, can I help you?" I'm just like, "Yeah, sure." If I know that they can do the thing that needs doing, whatever that thing is, I'm not going to resist that as long as I know that they're not burning themselves out.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
that's also
Absolutely.
being observant and understanding is this the person who is taking on everybody's stuff? So just being really mindful, but we need to be able to be in that state of flow where we give, we receive. It's reciprocal. It goes round. It's this beautiful thing that we can be a part of. And actually, this holding on to everything, and I must do it, and I must show no signs of weakness. These are the things that tend to damage our well-being. And underneath it all for me is that we do, and we will damage our well-being, and it will be maybe in little stages that we don't necessarily notice until we notice.
And the thing is, when we notice, it's not going to be easy to get out of that state. Because let's face it, especially like when we're talking about, the women that we work with, that they are like in their midlife, it is harder to recuperate in that state.
Mhm.
Also, it is harder to understand what the, I don't want to say problem, what the challenge is. Because how many times have you heard, but I've been doing this all my life. I've been, like this. That's how who I am. And it's hard wired in our brains. That's why we are working and we are talking so much about this myth busting, because we all, us included, have these conditionings in our heads, the condition that we need to work. I want to say against now. That's not the right word either. I don't know. It's too hot. I can't think of the right words here. So it's not about working against, it's about listening to our bodies, being respectful, being mindful, and understanding, okay, what works for me, and fine, it worked like maybe a year ago. It's not working now. Do I have to sit with it because it worked 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? No. I mean, that's the whole point. We can evolve and we should evolve. That's what we do with our lives, right?
Yeah,
We grow.
absolutely. Yeah. And that whole point that you were saying there, just because, a year ago I would have rejected any help from anywhere doesn't mean to say you have to hold that to be your truth now. And
No.
this is also can be incredibly uncomfortable because it's like I'm known for. So now you're talking about meeting people's expectations. Forget the expectations because
Hmm.
where do you need to operate from now? Where are you at now? What is becoming clear to you now? Because what was possible or what was okay or what was manageable a year ago, 6 months ago, 5 years ago may be completely different from today. And know that it's okay to be able to say, once upon a time I would have done this times 10, but not today. It's okay.
And it's freeing, isn't it? I mean, oh my God, you hit the nail on the head there with that. I mean, I was definitely that person of, no, I have said that's how I'm going to operate, and that's how I'm operating. And I wouldn't consider, I mean, to the detriment of me, and I could not see that for such a long time, that
Mm.
I was just following, like, the picture that I had created for whoever, that nobody's really watching, but okay, that's what we think. And that's it.
Yeah,
No, because I said it, I have to keep my word. Now it's like it becomes very weird. And yes, I am a woman of my word. I do believe that, but at the same time, I need to be true to myself as well. So, if you are a person of your word, see what is your own truth, how you are seeing yourself in this particular moment in time, not 10 years ago. Things change.
yeah. Yeah, and this is why, again, why I tend to look through, I look at anything or pretty much everything now through the framework that I use, because for me that pausing is like giving myself permission to, okay, foot off the pedal for a moment and notice what is going on in here and out there. What is it in any given situation? And then the return is returning to my truth, not to the
Mm.
truth that somebody has told me I should have, which is the stuff out there, or the truth that was the truth 6 months ago or a year ago, the truth today. What is that? And being able to return to that. And my gosh, the lightness that you begin to feel when you do that, it's just like, oh God, I've been efforting like a lunatic for I don't even know whose benefit. And now I get to return to my truth, which means that I get to operate with that sense of flow, feeling very gracious and joyful. And I don't mean joyful in every single moment. Stuff still needs to get done, things still go wrong. But when you're working from or operating from your truth, everything just feels different. Everything feels different. It just does, because you know that it's aligned. You know that you're not pretending to have it all together, or, you know, demonstrating or performing all of this stuff all the time. And that is like layers shed. And that's, you feel lighter. It's a wonderful thing.
I'm smiling because I feel exactly that, the unburdening yourself of all of this and just moving forward with what serves you, and showing up the way that is good for everyone, including yourself. um
Yeah.
it's
And
just
that
marvelous.
actually is the key bit also, Evie, is that in doing that, it's not just about how you feel, it's also how that impacts others. Because the closer you get to your truth and operating and living and working from those places, from your truth, you will lose no productivity. You will lose, you may lose people, but then there's a time and a place for people to come and go, so that's okay. And to be okay with all of that. But in terms of stepping into that truth, is this particular topic, is that really to allow yourself and open yourself up to receive the gift that somebody is giving you, and be grateful for that, and know that you will in turn be able to do that for somebody else, and somebody else will be able to do it for somebody else. And that for me is this beautiful ripple. And I will always come back to humanity, us being human beings, us showing up in a way that reminds us we are connected, that we all matter, that we are also all here to serve in some shape or form. We don't have to serve in every shape and form.
No, absolutely not.
Just
That
saying.
would be like quite hard, no?
Yeah. But some people will try.
I know, I know. Excellent. So we hope that this was helpful in some way or form, that the people that where you heard it live or coming back to us on, in the recording, leave some comments, like Yvonne said in the beginning. Let's discuss these things. It's nice to hear what others feel about those phrases, and whether they have shown up like this or differently. What were they? I'm so always so interested to see how else these phrases or similarly have
Yes,
come up for people.
absolutely. Different words, but same underlying thing. And yeah, just sharing how that's played up for you. And if it's still showing up for you, if you found a different way of being, if you just started to notice, oh my goodness, I always turn down help. I never accept any help. And being able to do that, just like, okay, no judgment. Not now pulling yourself apart because you've noticed it. Just saying, I do it all the time. Oh my gosh, in my work environment, I'm always doing that. Just like, okay, so now that you noticed, where may be a good opportunity to do something different, and just test it and see how that feels. Not only for you, but for the person who you're allowing to honor you and your time and your energy by taking something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really, really important. I'll also let one thing that I've been meaning to share and I forgot, is that like we know that one of the biggest contentment, happiness moments we get is when we give, right? So why wouldn't you allow somebody to feel that way by giving you something?
Absolutely.
Just something to think
Nice.
of.
And I
Okay.
think that's the perfect time to stop. I love that. Yeah. You know, it's a joyful thing. It's a joyful thing to give and receive. And so, let's all take some time to practice being with that. It's a practice. All these things are practices. Practice being with that. Where am I giving? Where am I receiving? And how is that feeling in that flow? And what difference does it make? Notice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Yvonne. This has
Thank you,
been
Evie, as always.
such a great pleasure, as always. Thank you, everybody. And see you next Thursday.
Indeed. Thank you.